during the 1970s. He came to Jacksonville for the Olympic trials this week, needing to be at his best. Recovering from an arm injury, he had to drop out of the national championships last month. But here in the compulsories Friday night, he was a solid performer and capped the evening with a perfect score of 10 on the parallel bars. Bart Conner is very much in contention in these Olympic trials. Peter Vidmar of UCLA is the leader after the compulsories in a close contest to pick 7 men for the Olympic team. Jacksonville, Florida. This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by the United States Postal Service. Discover the thrill of stamp collecting at the post office. And by Sears, where you'll find great value, great service, and a great selection. You'll find the things that make life worthwhile, because there's more for your life at Sears. Hello, everybody. We're live from Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Jacksonville, Florida, right next to the Gator Bowl, where we have just completed the 3rd of 6 rotations in the men's optional finals to pick our 1984 Olympic team. Here are the standings after 2 of those rotations. Mitch Gaylord of UCLA and Peter Vidmar of UCLA running 1 and 2. They've been exchanging the lead. James Hartung, Tim Daggett, Scott Johnson, James Mikas. And here's where the battle is. Chris Riegel at 7, Daniel Hayden at 8, and Brian Meeker, Brian Babcock, Mark Casso, and Billy Paul. Now, the key number to remember is 7. 7 gymnasts will make this team that will go to Los Angeles to compete in the Olympics. The top 6 from these trials are assured of spots. Then gymnasts 7 and 8 from these trials will be the alternates, and of course the second alternate wouldn't enter into it unless there would be 2 injuries on the team. Only 1 alternate would be an official member of this 1984 Olympic team. Jack Whitaker here with my colleagues, our man about gymnastics, Gordon Maddox, and of course one of the great American gymnast stars of all time, Kurt Thomas. And Kurt, let's start right away with the boycott. It is very pertinent to this sport of gymnastics.
It really is. This boycott is definitely going to hurt the sport of gymnastics. We're not going to see the Soviets. We're not going to see Below-Zerchev. But what we are going to see is Li Ning, the best gymnast I feel in the world today from China. We're going to see the Japanese. It's not going to be an easy battle out there for medals, but it certainly boosted the morale of the Americans. They're out there working hard and trying their best to try to bring home some gold.
Well, and despite this boycott, which of course is now official with the deadline passing, there'll be an official announcement made tomorrow by the Olympic Committee. We're still going to have 132 nations at the Los Angeles Games, which will be a record. Now, Gordon, we have quite a few stories going on here at these trials, one of which concerns Mr. Bart Conner.
I think that's a fascinating story. He's been plagued by injuries recently, and the latest of which was in January, where he literally ripped the bicep muscle loose from a bone. That injury healed well, but in the national championships, which is the qualifying meet for this event, he was unable to complete the competition, and so he petitioned his way into the Olympic trials, and this is 100% for him. Everything he does here counts. Now, he was sensational in the compulsory exercises earlier, but he started off today with a 9.4 in floor exercise. So as you say, Jack, he's now pushing a very heavy rock uphill. It's going to be an exciting story.
And because we won't have his score until very late, it's going to be very difficult to know exactly where he is.
For sure. But now he's working well, and his recent scores are strong. I think he's going to be on that team.
Kurt, we've had 2 scratches already here this afternoon because of injury.
It's been unfortunate. Roy Pallisu had to scratch, and also Mario McCutcheon. 2 unfortunate injuries. I think Roy's had some problems with his knee. Mario had his knee problem as well. He had a little hyperextension, so it's unfortunate, but that's the way it goes.
Here are the current standings now. Let's give you them now after the 3 rotations of the 6 to come. We have 3 more to go. And we have Peter Vidmar has taken the lead back from Mitch Gaylord, his teammate at UCLA, with Hartung Daggett. Scott Johnson with a powerful 9.8 on the rings here in the first rotation, and solidly in 5th place. Chris Riegel in 6th, and James Mikas in 7th, with Daniel Hayden on the fringe there. So now we're going to start the rotation number 4, and we'll go to the vault and Mitch Gaylord. There he is in 2nd place as we start this rotation. And the way the men do the vault, Gordon, reminds me of something Indiana Jones might do to get out of the Temple of the Doom.
Well, he'll be attempting a full twisting Sukahara, which is a cartwheel on the horse, a back somersault with a full twist off the horse. Not an easy vault. He has established himself as a man, I think, with real star quality. He just doesn't make big mistakes, and I look for him to do a good job in this vault. Full twisting Sukahara. Good night. Beautiful.
Mitch Gaylord, 23 years old, from Los Angeles, UCLA, trained by his brother Chuck. Here's the slow-mo, Kurt.
Well, here Mitch gets a real good push off the horse. He's been an extremely strong vaulter. He's really worked on this event, and it's become a good event for him. Look how high he is in the air. Nice, tight form. And then he lays in that landing. That's the important part. Also, to get the distance from the horse. Sure, he's pleased with that one.
And he gets 9.7 on that. 9.75, let's make it. I don't want to cheat anybody. He has been at 9.75, 9.8, and 9.75 on the previous apparati. Mitch Gaylord, unless he has tragedy befall him in the next hour, he will be a member of this Olympic team. And 9.8. As we look at Mitch, who is, and look at this
That's
on
a
the high
one-arm
bar.
giant now by Babcock. He comes back into the bar. Babcock's not been well at his problems. He's had so many injuries, it's impossible to document them. He's in inverted giants now. He'll hop back out into a Stalder shoot. Hangs it up. Now, this is a reverse giant with the wrong grip. It is not a mistake. That's exactly the way he planned it. Back into another Stalder. Getting set up now for his dismount. Half in, half out. A full twisting double flyaway.
They're doing things now they didn't dream of doing 6 years ago, do they?
Oh, for sure.
All right, Bart Connor, ladies and gentlemen.
And here comes another full twisting Sukahara. Now, the tumbling events have not been Bart Connor's strength right from the beginning of his career, and this is really a tumbling event. Let's see how he fares here. Remember that 9.4 on the floor.
Oh, he
right.
stuck that, huh? Bart Connor. And let's take another look, Kurt.
Well, this is not typically a great event for Bart, but he did pull in that landing. Gets a nice push off the horse here. First hand, tucked full, nice form in the air, as you notice, and watch him fight for that landing. That hurts the ankles a little bit.
Babcock got a 9.8, and we're waiting now on Connor's score on the vault. That's his coach, Paul Zert, with him, and we have a microphone on him. 9.75, it looks like. .975 for Connor. So, Bart Connor still in the fight here for a spot on the 1984 Gymnast Olympic team, and we'll return to Jacksonville with more action in a moment. Events going on here at one time, and except for Bart Connor, these gentlemen will be judged 30% of their championship score last month and 70% of what they do here at these Olympic trials. And here at the parallel bars, we have Dan Hayden fighting for life here. He was in 8th place.
Boy, this could be a dream come true for Dan Hayden. He actually moved out of his home, away from his family, into Tucson to train with very good coaches. And this is just a great big hope for Dan.
Also, it's a pretty big hope for his coach, Yoichi Tomita. He's always wanted a top-class athlete. He's been working with Dan for quite some time. There he is on the left, and has really produced a super gymnast.
Well, he's getting down to the old short hairs. Incidentally, you saw him just wipe his hands with a damp cloth. That allows the chalk, which he's rubbing into his hands now, to stick a little better, gives him a little firmer grip. He'll want his hands as secure as he can possibly get them. Now, he'll start off with a peach basket to a handstand off of this takeoff board that he's just adjusted.
He does a lot of giant work on the bars where he goes all the way around, so that's why he uses that chalk.
All right, now his peach basket mount as soon as he gets the green flag.
A tremendous performance, which we'll show you after Dan Hayden here, by Peter Vidmar, and that's what the crowd is up in arms for, and that's why Dan is waiting. A perfect 10 by Peter Vidmar, and you will see it in a minute.
Now, Dan is waiting for the judges to get the scores resolved. They're making sure that the two center scores, as you know, they throw out the high and low and average the two center. Here he comes now. He'll start with this peach basket to a handstand. Now that's a somersault under the bar, and then he'll continue the somersault in a straight line, straight up to the handstand position. After that, you'll see almost a high bar giant swing right here. Into a cast, reverse pirouette. Into that V support. Straight body, straight arm press to a handstand. A very, very difficult strength move. Here's another giant swing now. Done very well. A back toss now. Into another back toss. Next move is called a Stutzki or a Stutz. It's just a swing with a half turn, and here comes his double off. Dan Hayden is right on the money.
And while we're waiting for his score, remember Hayden right there at 8th place needs a great score here. Let's watch Peter Vidmar on the high bar.
Stalder now, and he'll come in with an immediate reverse hecht right here. Pardon me. Not a reverse hecht. Oh, a release move that he's had difficulty with. He has two big release moves in his routine. There's his inverted giants. Here's a front somersault, re-catch. Now pivot, gets set up for his half in, half out. It's a double flyaway with a half turn on each of the somersaults. Boy, and look at the solid landing.
Peter Vidmar, as close as you can get to perfection, a perfect 10 on that horizontal bar score, and that's going to keep him in first place. It's his birthday today. He is 23 years old, and what a lovely way to celebrate it. And here's Jim Mikas, University of Nebraska, also fighting for a spot.
And this, too, as he has said earlier, is a dream for him. He starts off with an inside Stalder. The feet on the inside instead of on the outside. I like that. Kurt used to do that and did it very well. There's his one-arm giant swing. Right into inverts. He'll hop out and pirouette out of his invert giant. Now here comes his reverse hecht. Ooh, nice move. A Stalder shoot now. And watch the flyaway, a double twisting, double flyaway. Big, big dismount. Oh, Jimmy, you're pretty hot, too.
James Mikas from Reading, PA, and the University of Nebraska. Dan Hayden got a 9.75 on that parallel bar, so he's still very much alive. As we await Mikas' score on the horizontal bar. Super slow-mo. Kurt?
Well, here's a look at his dismount. He didn't do a double twisting double. He only did a full twisting double, but I'm sure he's playing it a little conservative at this point. He just wants to make the team. Comes up, half in, half out, half twist on the first somersault, half twist on the second, and really makes a nice landing.
And a 9.75 from Mikas. Those bottom three spots are the ones that they're really fighting for. The leaders are in very good position right now. Joey Ray on the horizontal bar.
And Joey, unfortunately, doesn't really have a realistic chance of making this team, but he's out there just cutting for it with all his life. Another full twisting double flyaway. Nice exercise.
He was sick coming into this competition, had a little bit of a cold, and he's been a little weak because of that, but he really is pulling out.
Waiting for his score.
There's a lot of tension over by that bench. There's four guys that could move right into place.
And they're really jockeying for position here. 9-7 for Joey Ray. This is Robbie Campbell at the parallel bars.
Now, Robbie is also a student out at UCLA. It seems like half the people here, either at Nebraska or UCLA, starts with a peach to a handstand pirouette, a Diamadov into a Stutz to a handstand, lay back front uprise, and here comes a pirouette. Cast to a support back, Stutz, and now he'll show you his press. Straight arm, straight leg press to a handstand. And a double back off.
So Robbie Campbell, and that will finish the fourth rotation. They will move now to switch their apparatus and have a little warm-up, and then we'll resume again. But a perfect 10 here was the one that marked this rotation. There is Campbell's score. And we'll be back here to Jacksonville, Florida, with more of the men's gymnastic tests in just a moment. Jacksonville, Florida, from the Veterans Memorial Coliseum. You're looking at Bart Connor warming up on the parallel bars. Earlier this week, Gordon Maddox talked with Bart and asked him how he liked his chances here.
How do you feel about your chances here?
Well, actually, you know, it's kind of strange. You know, I'd say 8 months ago you asked me about my chances here. I would just say, oh, I'm going to go through this deal because I'm looking forward to the games. But after I did hurt myself, I realized I have to shift gears a little bit. And this has become a very big priority for me because I need to look good here, of course. Even though I've been doing this a long time, Gordon, I still have to qualify just like everybody else. So it's very important that I do a good job here. So this has been a real priority to me. I've concentrated my efforts in the training up to this event here. And that's why I trained through the USA Championship. So I feel very good. You know, I'm kind of in a strange situation in a way. I've been doing very well, and I would have great hopes for the LA games, but this has to be a priority for me in terms of making that team. I have to look sharp here, and so this has been the major effort this year.
Very articulate and bright and pleasant young man, Bart Connors, and that's exactly the way he feels. And he's right in the middle of this competition, as we told you, because 100% of his score counts here. It will be a little while before we know his exact position in the standings.
You know, I think, though, that he has gotten past the events that worry him the most. Floor exercise, he missed his dismount pretty heavily and ended up with a 9-4, and they were delirious that the score was that high. Then he got off a good vault. Now he's into the events that he likes and the events that he works well. I think he can relax and just go through it.
Well, let's see. We have the three apparatus are vault, parallel bars, and horizontal bar. And the next two rotations, and they will be going off simultaneously. We're still waiting on the official scoring after the fourth rotation.
I know Bart's feeling, though, because he doesn't want to just come into this competition and make the team. He wants to do well here. He wants to show people that he ought to be on that team, and you know, that's his real priority.
And now the official standings after 4 rotations. The men, Vidmar with that perfect 10 is, of course, still in first place. Mitch Gaylord right behind. Hartung, Daggett, Scott Johnson, and Chris Riegel hanging in there. And here's where we begin to find out where the tough competition is between 7, 8, and 9, and perhaps 10. James Mikas, Dan Hayden, Brian Meeker, and Brian Babcock. And Brian Meeker, Brian Babcock, Brian Meeker here, currently 9th.
Brian's a good competitor, and for those of you that remember a year ago at the Summer Sports Festival up in Syracuse, this is the young man that crashed against the long horse when he was vaulting, and we thought he was dead on the floor. Spent the night in the hospital, wasn't hurt at all. Talk about tough competitors. This guy is really tough.
Well, you have to be in this sport, and you know, Gordon, I see more bad knees and ankles here than I do in an NFL locker room.
Is that why they roll me in a wheelchair?
I bet the tape bill here for gymnasts is just as big as it is in pro football.
All right, there's his start. High start over the bar into a stalder, one-arm giant swing, a thing that used to be impossible, now nearly commonplace. Another stalder, immediate hop. He'll get set for his release, a front somersault, re-catch, Brian's working very well. Into inverted giants. Dislocates out, hop out. Now be getting all set up. There's a Healy twirl. Actually, Healy twirl. Oh, hang on, Brian.
Staggered a little bit. Brian Meeker.
Amazing, Jack, how much that doggone dismount counts.
Oh,
Man
yes.
can go through a sensational routine, and he still has to land.
Now here's another look at that dismount in slow motion. Now he did do a double twisting double. Very difficult to land. Full twist on the first somersault, full twist on the second. But he saved it back.
And now Chris Riegel in 7th place in that rather gray area. He needs to do the best he can from here on in.
He's a great vaulter, too, Jack. Here's a front summy with a half twist.
Oh, yes.
Just like concrete.
Oh,
You like that, Kurt?
that was awesome. I tell you, this is the event he thinks he can win in the Olympics if he makes it.
There's Meeker's score from the horizontal bar, 9-7. Now we get back to Chris Riegel's and a slow motion of him.
And you'll see where this separates him from the rest. Watch the push off the horse, the bang off the horse, how high he gets in the air. Beautiful form, perfect toe point, and really didn't have a deduction on the landing.
You got to look for what, height and length in that vault?
You
And
got to
the
look
landing.
for, yeah, the judges are really looking for the distance from the horse, obviously the stick in the landing, but the form in the air and the power, the amplitude.
9-9 for Chris Riegel, and that ought to move him, or at least keep him solidly in contention. It might move him up one.
Boy, it helps his chances enormously.
He has always been full of talent. It's just been a concentration problem with him, hasn't it?
Really has. Just lately, he's had a little bit of difficulty in training, and he's really coming back.
Dan Hayden now on the high bar, fighting for that, trying to get into that 7th spot, or at least hold on to 8th, where he would be a second alternate, if that in truth is how you call it, the 8th position.
Well, he's got a dicey exercise. It's a really gutsy exercise. We talk about double flyaways off the bar. He actually does a double over the top of the bar, re-catches it, and continues his exercise. I'll try to cue you just before that happens. He's waiting now for the score of the previous performer to come up, get the green flag from the judges, and then go get him.
He also does that dismount the same way, over the bar, back over the bar with a full
That's right.
twist, so it should be interesting.
Good point, Bart. Kurt. I called you two guys together for too many years.
Peter Vidmark in the ball. Whoop.
A little bit short. He's in such a strong position, can't hurt him very much.
Just kicked out of that vault a little bit too early.
All right, here comes Dan Hayden now. Do a nice high called a stem into a stalder. Giant swing. Now here it comes, a double over the top. Recatch, yes. One-arm giant now. Back into giant swings. There's a pivot. Now you're going to see that big flyaway Kurt mentioned again. Oh, I love it. I love it.
There's another 10.
Great exercise.
Woo. There's another 10, I bet.
Dan Hayden, and if it's 10, oh, is this competition getting close now?
Okay, here's his back 1 and 3 over the bar again. This was actually originated by a Hungarian, Kovacs, but he does it a lot nicer in a layout position. Here it comes, opens up, blind move, sees the bar at the last second, and makes a nice regrab. Now the dismount is the same way. It comes over the bar very nicely, gets that big tap, pulls a half in, half out over the bar, kicks out and sees the landing. Beautiful routine.
9-9-5. He just missed.
Someone gave him a 10.
I think we got a comer on our hands.
But that'll move him up. Dan Hayden was in 8th place. Now, Jim Mike is also fighting for a spot. He's over at the vault.
I wonder what he's thinking after seeing all those guys getting 9.95s and the guys that are ahead of him.
Now, if I guess right here, he's going to do a handspring front somersault which is a rather difficult landing in that in the front somersault you can't see the floor first. Now Vidmar got a 9.6 on his vault. Now remember, this is a handspring front, blind landing, very difficult landing. No, he threw a half twist in. Smart move, Jimmy. Terrific vault.
It's always been a super event for Jimmy, and he did that in the pike position. The pike brandy out. Looked beautiful.
James Mikas, who was in 6th place before this rotation began and trying to keep there, because that would send him to Los Angeles. 7 is the key.
Well, he's in a position where he ought to be real tight. He doesn't look that way, though, does he, in his work?
It's nice and loose. Waiting for Jim Mikas' score on the ball.
He's going to love it.
You know, they take a lot of strategy here.
Look how expectant he is. 9-9. That almost nails down a trip to Los Angeles for Jim Mikas. We'll be back for more of the Olympic trials from Jacksonville, Florida, in just a moment. Coming up after the gymnasts, there'll be the USFL football. New Jersey Generals at Tampa Bay in a very crucial game to determine the 3rd playoff spot in the Eastern Conference, or the Houston Gamblers at Denver Gold, or the Arizona Wranglers at Birmingham Stallions. That's coming up right after gymnastics today here on ABC. Here on videotape just a little earlier was Bart Connor on the parallel bars, where he had scored a 10 in the compulsories.
Now, Bart starts with what he calls a free hip pirouette. Right into the center. Now, he'll throw 2 back tosses. Without a stop, now into an immediate stutz. Straddles. Now, this is his trademark. Had to sort of control it with one leg. Now he's in position for his English handstand press. Get back to the center. Throw a stutz gear. And he oversteps.
Ooh.
Overturns it just a little. And here's his double off. Yes. And the score?
That was on tape, and Bart scored 9-7 on that. We are now live on the parallel bars.
This is Mark Casso, also UCLA. Into a straddle planche. Immediate press to a handstand. Over bar release move. Stitz. Diamondov. Lay back front rise, and now pirouettes. And a double off. Good landing, Mark.
Mark Casso, one of the bravest men I've ever heard of. He had a broken neck, didn't he, Kurt? And
Fractured
came back.
his neck, came back off that injury. You know, it's difficult enough to do these skills, but to come back after a serious injury like that is tremendous. And I think he's still going to just keep on going.
He was literally paralyzed for a short time. Had his head in one of those halos where he was wired into place.
Now,
well, here's a slow motion look at his dismount. It's a double back somersault. Comes through the beginning here, pirouette, leans back just a little bit, pulls it around, and has a nice landing.
9-6 for Mark on the parallel bars. We have Mitch Gaylord now, currently in 2nd place. UCLA, next up on the parallel bars.
Obviously, Mitch Gaylord doesn't have a weak event. He'll start with a Stalder on the side. Right up, pirouette into the center. Now here comes that swing with a half turn, the stutz, into an immediate Diamondov. Now he lays that back. Now here comes a Healy twirl into an immediate straddle planche. Hang on there, Mitch. There's pretty Diamondov tight movement. Immediate Diamondov into an immediate Healy twirl. His press, and now he gets set up for his double off. Mitch Gaylord is one heck of a competitor, I'm telling you. Look out, Los Angeles, for that young man.
One of the things you rarely see on parallel bars is the originality that he brought in. He did a Healy twirl there out of a 1.5 Diamondov. Is beautiful. One of the things that's going to really give Mitch a good score here.
Well, that is the end of that rotation while we wait on Mitch's score on the parallel bars. And now some 10s go up, and that is that it? Yes, a perfect 10 for Mitch Gaylord on the parallel bars.
And a standing ovation as well.
Look at the people are up.
This is coach now, Chuck Gaylord, his brother.
What a day for UCLA. Peter Vidmar at 10 on the high bar, and now Mitch Gaylord at 10 on the parallel bars.
That's got to take some of the pressure off, don't you think?
Oh, I think so. They know they're going to be in L.A., and we'll return to Jacksonville, Florida for the final rotation in just a moment. Where a tremendous battle is going on for the 6th, 7th, and 8th places, and also for 1st and 2nd. Peter Vidmar and Mitch Gaylord have been exchanging 10s and 1st and 2nd, and earlier Gordon spoke about the boycott with Peter Vidmar.
Give me your impression of the boycott thing.
Well, I think that the initial reaction was shock, because I really thought the Soviets would come, and I was surprised that they didn't. But I'm certainly not going to let the Soviet Union spoil the Olympic Games. They want us to be disappointed, and by causing all this hysteria around the country because they're not coming, their boycott would succeed. But I think that if we just say, so what? We're still going to have the Olympic Games anyways, and we're going to get ready for it, then I think that the Olympic Games will go off just as planned. And I hope it will go off that way. And in men's gymnastics, we still have a great battle going on. Only the Soviet Union is the team that's in the top 4 that is boycotting. We still have China, Japan, and USA. And our big battle was to beat the Japanese, and we still have the Japanese there, so that's what we're aiming at right now.
Peter Vidmar, there he is live, and here are the standings after the 5th rotation. We have one more to go. Vidmar holds on despite the 10 thrown in there by Mitch Gaylord, but you can imagine that the margin now is very close. And Dan Hayden in 8th place, so the battle's still not decided yet between Meeker, Hayden, and Mikas. 5 thousandths of a point between 1st and 2nd between Vidmar and Gaylord.
And you know, the thing we don't know, Jack, is where Bart Connor fits in, because the computer won't handle it until he has finished his horizontal bar routine. And with the 9-4 on the floor and little guys like Chris Regal doing so well, Bart might be in serious trouble.
Might indeed be in serious trouble. There's a nice smile from Mitch Gaylord. Bart Connor, indeed, will be 1st on the horizontal bar, and I suspect we could safely say, needs to really hit one, doesn't he?
Oh, does he ever? Yeah.
Mitch is a little scared at this point because he's been working on this new flip over the bar that he's missed twice now in warm-up, and here he goes again, trying it again, and he missed again.
Well, 3 in a row. That means he'll probably hit it in the competition.
Well, he got closer that time. When you can touch your hands on the bar, you have it.
Doesn't help my blood pressure one bit, though.
Is that the Gaylord 2?
That's the Gaylord 2, Roman numeral 2.
Well, we'll be watching for that as we look at Bart Connor. There's Bart Connor's father.
Not a bit nervous.
He's been at this a couple times, hasn't he?
Well, here goes Bart. This is his last hurrah for the 1984 games. Starts with a stem pirouette into an immediate one-arm giant. Comes into a blind change. Now he'll suck through into his inverts. Come out of the inverts. Now a toe on, toe off, a form of Stalder shoot.
Normally to a one-arm.
Here comes a release now. Well, I think maybe he's playing it close to the vest. He very well might be.
He's going for his dismount.
Yep, a piked full end. Hey, I think it's a smart move. He's got plenty of difficulty in the exercise. He doesn't need it, so let's not go for it.
At this point, I think it's a conservative decision, but I think it's the right decision. He got a little off during the middle of his routine.
Great job.
That was his coach talking now. Let's take a look at that dismount, Kurt.
Well, he does a full in a pike position. Full twist on the first somersault, laid out, then he pikes around the second, which is a very nice-looking dismount in the air. Full and a back in a pike position, and he pulls out a nice landing.
9-7, I think, is what the horizontal bar. There it is, 9-7, and we'll have to wait and see if that is enough to get him in that first 7 or 8.
I'm sure he'd like a 10th or 2 more. They look happy, but boy, would they love a 9-9.
Paul Zert, the coach, and Bart Connor. So we'll wait till the computer does its thing before we can tell you where Bart is in the standings. All right, here is Dan Hayden in 8th place on the vault.
All right, he'll show you a front with a half twist. It's the most popular vault in this competition, and I think of the higher rated vaults, it's the most, or the least difficult. Not a great landing compared to the ones we've had, and he scored a 9.6 on that vault.
So the minute's ticking down to see who the 7 are going to be. Then we'll go to Los Angeles as we look at Chris Riegel.
Chris is pretty much the man on the bubble right now, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is. This is the one that's he's got to pull this one out.
You know, Kurt, if I were competing today and if I had to finish the Olympic trials, I think I'd like to finish it right on this event, on the parallel bars.
I don't know. This event, you can get going real fast, and if you can't control that speed, you're in trouble. And this is an event that can make or break you, just as pommel horse can. But I certainly wouldn't want to finish on pommel horse or high bar.
All right, a big moment, too, for Chris Riegel.
All right, here's a half turn into his Stalder. He'll get back up to a Stitz, into a move called a Diamondov, which is named after one of those Russians who now is among the missing. There's the Diamondov. Now he'll hop out to the side. Glide down. Stalder back up. Now the English press that Bart Connor made famous most recently. Gets it under control. He'll move back into the center, do another Stitz. And then a piked double flyaway off. There it is. Oh, no. Touchdown. That's a major deduction.
Big break. I'm surprised he went for the pike on P-bars because he didn't really need it. He had full difficulty in his routine, and he went for a pike, and it's very difficult to feel and see that trick.
I agree with you, Kurt. He didn't need it. He could have tucked it and made it easily.
All he did was open up early, though. He pulls it around nice and high, good form in the air, but watch this. He opens up early, anticipates the landing too soon, and major deduction. 3/10 of a point for that.
9-5 for Chris Riegel in 6th place and very much on the edge. And we'll return here to Jacksonville for more gymnastics in just a moment. We're live here at the Coliseum in Jacksonville, and Mitch Gaylord has just fallen from the horizontal bar doing Gaylord 2.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at it on videotape.
Well, what happened was he got over the bar. I thought his hands were on the bar, and then he peeled off right at the bottom. Here's his Stalder. Giant over the top. He takes a little bit of an early tap and carries him over the bar too much. Carries him over right here. He grabs the bar and just slips off right at the bottom. And I tell you, this is, look at that. Oh.
He should have been in good shape, wouldn't you say, Kurt? He looked like he had plenty of room, plenty of time.
We're back live now. Let's
He's
see.
remounted.
Remounts.
Now, that's an automatic 0.5 of a point deduction. So his maximum score now would be 9.5.
You can bet right now his back's hurting, too. You can see it in his face. He's hurting.
He's getting set up for his dismount.
He wants to finish half in, half out.
Not bad. Now we're looking at Peter Vidmar on the parallel bars as we wait Gaylord's mark.
All right, he'll do his press. Get back to the center of the bar now. And a double off. Good landing, Peter.
Good routine for Pete.
Peter Vidmar, currently the leader, completing his Olympic trials here in Jacksonville. He's in a close competition with Mitch Gaylord as we look at him now. But the fall off the high bar might drop him to 3rd. I don't think it seriously endangers his position on the team unless he's hurt.
I don't think it does endanger his position, but they're checking his arm now.
9-9 for Peter Vidmar, and there's the man who will finish number 1.
This is Coach Makoto Sakamoto. So proud of him.
Happy birthday, boy.
They're in conference now on Gaylord's score. Almost any time they fall, Jack, you're going to have a conference.
Well, we hope he's not hurt. That's the big point right now. And we'll return here to Jacksonville for more gymnastics in a moment. that Mitch Gaylord's score on that high bar was 9.35, which won't endanger his position on the team, but takes away from what has been a brilliant meet for him. Now at the parallel bars, Jim Mikas in 7th place. Needs a good one.
Boy, does he ever, and I'm sure he doesn't want to be the alternate. He'd like to be in there competing. He'll start off on the side here, a straddle, Diamondov up, pirouette back into the center. Now this Diamondov again. All right, back out to the side. There's the Stalder up. Back into the center. Now he'll do a Stutz, a front cut catch, and the press. Now all Jimmy Mikas has to do to finish the routine is do a good, clean double off. And now, Jimmy, it's in the judge's hands. He isn't going to like the fact that he took that step, Kurt.
No, and I tell you, that was a great routine for him. I'm surprised he took that step. He had nice height. He just kicked out a little early. There's Chris Riegel congratulating him. Both teammates, both guys fighting at each other and giving each other hugs. That's nice.
And they grew up together. They worked in the same gym when they were children.
And now on the same team at Nebraska.
That's one of the nice things about the entire sport, the camaraderie.
9-7 for Jim Mikas. So we'll have to wait now and let the computer do its job, and we'll be back here in Jacksonville in just a moment. Connor and Paul Ziert, his coach, and they are waiting here. Our best guess is that he might be 5th or 6th, isn't it, Gordon?
I have an idea looking at them that they kind of feel the same way.
But we'll have to wait until all the scores are in.
Well, I think Bart's combing his hair for a possible interview, wouldn't you say?
No, in part, yes.
He said he's a very good interview. This is Jim Hartung now. Will be next on the parallel bars.
Well, and
Still
again,
on, Jimmy.
Jimmy doesn't have an off event either, really. He is so tough, I can't believe it.
He's been so consistent here this weekend.
His only weakness, if he has one, is his foot form. He looks like he's working with sky hooks, and there isn't a doggone thing he can do about it. He can't stretch his toes out any farther than they'll go. There he is rehearsing, literally going through the mechanics of his routine in his mind and with his body.
He's done his homework. He's done his homework on this event. He won the NCAA championships on parallel bars.
Oh, yeah. He's all set. And he's pretty solid. All he has to do is get through his exercise. Okay, he starts in the far bar. Free hip circle. Here comes a back toss into a Stutz, into a Diamondov. All right, now he'll lay it away and come up with a Healy twirl. I love that Healy twirl. Now there's the straddle planche into a planche press. Good move. He'll do another Stutz and then hit you with his dismount. Just a stock double off. Jimmy Hartung, your money in the bank.
Mr. Consistency, huh?
He had a little problem there on a cut catch L, but not really a big thing. Maybe a 10th.
He'll take it, don't you think?
Yeah. Been the most consistent performer in the last 5 years in gymnastics. I'm proud of him.
Waiting on his score, which you hear it's 9-8-5 for Jim Hartung. And we'll be back here in Jacksonville with our final standings in just a moment. Live from Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Jacksonville, Florida, and this competition has just concluded. The United States Olympic Trials men's gymnastics is over, and we are waiting now for the official statistics. What we can tell you, I guess, definitely, is that Peter Vidmar, on his birthday, finished first. And we're waiting, of course, to see where the final position of Bart Connor would be, and that would determine the last couple of positions here, 6 and 7, with people like Scott Johnson, James Mikas, Chris Riegel, and perhaps Dan Hayden. While we wait, we have Kurt Thomas with Bart.
Bart, we don't know for sure if you've made it yet, but we think you have. I know you wanted to go into this competition and do well, not just make the team, but look good, and I think you did.
Well, thanks, Kurt. You know, this is a little scary, actually. I was just giving Peter Vidmar a hug, and, you know, we all agree that this is the most intense competition. Now we're by this, and I think the Olympics is going to be way easier than this was, for sure.
Well, you've had some injuries this year, but you've really come out and proven yourself to still be on top. I love it. Congratulations.
Well, thanks a lot, Kurt. You know, it's been a tough year, and I knew if I could just get through this, I have a couple of more months to get ready for the games, and I think it's going to work.
Good. Congratulations, Guy.
Bart Connor from Oklahoma. There's Peter Vidmar, the #1 man, and
Boy, he has nothing to be worried about, does he?
not at all.
And what a great attitude Peter Vidmar has. Bright, articulate, and one heck of a gymnast.
And here, ladies and gentlemen, is the United States Olympic team for 1984 in men's gymnastics. Peter Vidmar, Mitch Gaylord, Tim Daggett, James Hartung, Bart Connor, Scott Johnson, and the alternate will be James Mikas. So that's the story. We have done what we came to do here at Jacksonville, Florida. Stay tuned next now for USFL football. The United States Olympic Trials Men's Gymnastics has been brought to you by Century 21 Real Estate Organization. #1 to work for you, and by Sharp Electronic Corporation. From Sharp Minds come Sharp Products. Stay tuned for exciting United States football.